But let's jump into the final topic. We're going to be talking about the Washington Wizards for the Hawks fans that are upset that we didn't go to you guys next, because technically you guys are in line next in the order. We're just waiting until after the lottery comes out because we don't know where you guys will be picking and we don't know how many picks you'll be having. That's obviously going to be huge for you guys. So we want to give you guys a for sure certain idea of what you guys would be doing when you guys have one pick or two picks. So we're going to wait for that until next week. But right now, since it is Saturday, May 11th, we can at least take some shots at the Wizards just because they're sixth in reversed order, so they have a 37.2% chance for the top four and a 9% chance at the first overall. And we could play a little bit around there. They're not going to be falling further than 10th.
You go 4 spots.
4 spots.
I don't know, Sean. Don't predict where they'll go because you can't do that anymore.
They cannot be the 11th pick. I'm predicting that they will not be the 11th through 14th pick.
Because apparently we can't predict things.
No, we were having fun doing that, and that obviously didn't work out. But
it didn't work.
We're just having fun, and we can't even have predictions. Like, yes, we don't know what's going to happen. It's odds. Anything can happen. But that also means you can predict what happens. People try to predict the lottery. Jesus Christ.
I'm glad you're as salty about it as I am because when we did Too Old to Game, that's all I was fucking bitching about.
I'm like, really? Still?
I don't know.
I was so hung up
moved
about
on.
it.
Just trying to have fun. Anyways, Wizards have the 6th best odds. Again, 37.2% chance for the top four, 9% chance for first overall. Let's say they get the first overall. Obviously, they're going to be taking Zion Williamson. How does Zion fit with John Wall, Bradley Beal, the Scott Brooks project, Troy Brown Jr., Thomas Bryant, Thomas Satoransky, possibly Ariza if he resigns? How does he fit in that team, Dave?
Do you call me Dick?
I
feel like you call me Dick.
I screwed up.
We are no longer Dave and Ricky. We are Dick.
Yes. It is true.
Dick Oster.
Kill me now. He fits real good. He's going to go
In-depth analysis.
He fits real good.
That's what you guys come to us for, right?
He fit real good.
Dick Oster.
Straight from the mouth of Dick Oster.
Jesus Christ.
I'm broke. I can't. Ricky, take this.
It's just, this is one word we say it every time. It's, you draft Zion, does he fit? Doesn't matter. You take that square peg and you ram it through that hole, whether it's a square hole, a round hole, a triangle hole. You make Zion fit no matter what. So, I mean, Zion will fit really good. He's going to work with this team because he's the best player in this draft. Okay. You don't trade him either.
There's no way we can keep this going. There's no way we can have Dave off screen and the fucking pounding of the desk.
He'll
This
live.
is such a garbage topic. Jesus, thanks for being professional, Dave. He's dying now. Zion would be an incredible fit, obviously. I feel so stupid just saying that because this is not what you guys are coming here for. But that's the first thing we have to talk about. If he goes there, I mean, you're going to have a great playmaking point guard. I'm turning his mic off. A great playmaking point guard in John Wall when healthy. Obviously, a great scorer at the two, one of the best shooting guards in the league. And having Zion, I think, you can just play small ball. And with Thomas Bryant not being the biggest center out there, but being really effective when he was out there, was huge for them. And I think giving Zion to that team just shores up what they're going to do defensively for the 3 and the 4. Because I don't know if Zion's going to be more of a 3 defender, if he's going to be more of a 4 defender, but he is going to be a defensive monster out there. And I think offensively, too, they can play so quick with John Wall, Bradley Beal, and Zion out there that it'd be absolutely disgusting in transition. And 2, they can play very fast in the half court. I mean, Zion setting picks, John Wall running around him, kicking it out to Bradley Beal. Zion does not have a motor that ends. Like he can keep it up and keep up with the pace, setting screens left and right. And him cutting the basket is going to be something that will be unstoppable. So him in the offense, if Scott Brooks can be imaginative enough, which would be very difficult for him, is something that would be very intriguing for me if they do go out and get Zion Williamson.
I apologize for my unprofessional nature
It's all right,
to start the segment. But I agree with you. I think Zion actually means Scott Brooks keeps his job. Like, that's how big of a deal this is to this franchise. They're already rebuilding the front office, which is a great first step. Admitting you had a problem. Great first step. But going forward, having him there, I mean, he's a dynamic talent, and I would love to see this next year of Bradley Beal being the 1 and Zion working, hand in hand with him at Batman Robin style. That combo is deadly. I absolutely think they're going to crush. They could honestly bounce right back to the playoffs, which I know week East, whatever, but like with all the turmoil from this offseason, all the free agents out there, like anything can happen in the East this year. So I think Washington landing someone as talented as Zion Williamson instantly makes John Wall's contract more or it makes it more allowable. You can kind of swallow it a little easier because, like, look, we may be stuck with that shit contract, but we've got Zion Williamson on an amazing contract for a couple of years before we have to pay him a ton of money. So I love the idea of them getting Zion Williamson.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be so fun, and I think it'd kind of revamp Washington because it's just like, right now they're in this shitty place where they have John Wall under this horrible contract, and Bradley Beal saying he'd die in a Wizards uniform, but everyone's like, oh, well, we want him to
He's
leave.
the only person who could get traded for anything of worth.
Exactly, and I think if Zion goes there, it kind of just revitalizes that franchise just a little bit.
Also, the thing that I'm going to bring up with Zion that would really help them is, this is from Bleacher Report. So, Jan Mahimi is the only big man under contract right now for the Wizards. And Dwight Howard has missed all but 9 games this season.
Yeah, but he accepted his option.
Also, no team is giving up more baskets at the rim than the Washington Wizards.
Yeah.
You know who fixes that? Zion swatting Williamson, where he'll just swat balls into
That's not
not his job.
That's not his nickname. That is not his nickname. Do not call him that ever again, or your mic is getting called off.
What did he call him?
Swatting.
Swatting.
Because he swats.
That's a
he swats
bad
the ball.
nickname.
Cut the mic
All,
out. We can
all
just
my
cut it.
nicknames are bad,
Yes, so
Sean.
I'm putting an end to this
All my
one.
no,
I'm putting an
all
end to
my
this one.
nicknames
This
are
one's
bad.
not sticking. This one's a bad
Yeah,
fucking
probably
nickname.
won't stick, but it
It's
was
not.
said.
It's not. It's not.
Okay.
If you call him that one more time, you're out.
Swatting?
You're out. That's a
Swatting Williamson.
bad nickname. Bad. I need a bottle of water so I can spray you like a dog. Bad nickname.
We need a cone. We need like a cone of shame over here.
His mic's off.
I know.
What do you mean?
Spray me like a fucking dog. Get
It's
out of
a
here.
bad thing.
I
It's
ain't
bad.
no fucking dog. Get out of
He
here.
didn't say roll up a
nickname.
newspaper. He's not going to physically harm you. He's just going to
I ain't
spit you
no
with some
fucking
water.
dog.
You're more
Okay.
like a cat.
Cats. I hate cats.
I don't know if Zion necessarily fix that because I'm with Dave. That's not really his job. I mean, he'll definitely come over and block like two.
He's a
two
great
shots
help
a game.
defender, but
Yeah.
that's not. Yeah, he's not going to be able to help you. When big centers back down, their way into the low post, like he's not a guy who can go up against that we're aware of.
Yeah, he'll
The guy-
just come over and just swat it
he's
away.
great help defender. I mean, I think that he'll help, but like as far as the percentage of buckets made around the basket going down, I don't know if he's going to dramatically affect that as much as having just a standard center out there who can be 7 feet tall, reach up real high, and have that wingspan to cover people.
I think Thomas Bryant is interesting just because he didn't get a ton of playing time. So like if you look at his per game, nothing really stands out with his blocks because he's not even at a block a game. But if you look at his per 40, he's only playing 20 minutes a game. It's at like 1.5 blocks. So like maybe that is a guy that can
Like
really
1/8
boost that.
of a Mitchell Robinson.
Yeah, 1/8 of Mitchell Robinson, but no one's Mitchell Robinson. I'd be intrigued on what he fully does if they ever unleash him. Because if you look at his stats from pretty much the end of 2018 to the end of the year, he was averaging like a block a game, so that was going up a little bit. And I think they're obviously going to add to this team. And if they get Zion, they'll be able to protect the rim just a little bit more. But I think the most intriguing thing was how that offense would run because Bradley Beal is dominant offensively. John Wall, when healthy, is one of the best facilitators in the league. Zion's going to be a force in his own right. Thomas Bryant's really good around the rim. And
he's developing an outside shot, too.
Yeah, so and really the weak spot then would be either the stretch 4, if they sign Trevor Ariza, that's fixed. Or if they play Zion at the 4, then it's a wing that could shoot, and maybe that is still Trevor Ariza. But I think you need to look at it a little bit more. Would have been nice to have Otto Porter still, I think, if that is the case.
They could re-sign
really
Jabari, or they could re-sign Bobby. Those are still options on the
Bobby's
table.
not playing the
He's a small ball 5, I know.
Yeah, and he's not. And Parker, I don't know if he's good enough to shoot from the wing. I know he had a kind of a renaissance.
We know he ain't a 3. We know that much.
Yeah.
Solve that fucking mystery. I apologize for last year saying, hey, totally make it work. We'll just make it work. No, it didn't quite work out for us.
I think the fit isn't super great, at least like with the rest of the roster, just because it's still not gonna complete the lineup. That's what I'll say. But it makes that lineup much more intriguing when fully healthy.
Completely agree.
So I really like the fit that he has with the big 3, is what I'll say. And then you throw in Thomas Robinson as well, or Thomas Bryant. I'm sorry. Thomas Robinson's a former player for them. But I think, again, it's Zion. So Zion's going to fit pretty much anywhere where he goes.
Yep.
So let's move into if they don't get Zion. Who's more intriguing for them, John Morant or RJ Barrett? I know we've talked about RJ before, and yes, they do have John Wall, so you're like, why would they draft John Morant? But, let's throw it out there. I know
If you guys
Dave
want to
loves
check
him.
out our takes on that, you could check out our live mock, Lotto Lock Live something.
Yeah.
Whatever the amazing name that Sean came up for.
Because the Washington Wizards got the second overall pick in that one, so we had to have this discussion.
Yeah. But it is a how true to John Wall do you want to be? If you are tied to John Wall, you will pass up on what I believe is the better talent in. Sorry, I had a dramatic pause there and I had to swallow because I was going to sneeze. In John Morant, and go for an RJ Barrett. Like that's the honest opinion from me. Is I think they would do that. I think John Wall is still a key franchise player for them, and they're going to hold true to that contract, injuries or not. So they would go RJ Barrett in my mind if they landed 2 or 3, and he would still be huge for them because again, you get a wing scorer, you get someone who's decent rebounder, good athlete. Yes, does he make some poor shooting decisions? Yes, but they also need someone to just take shots out there. Bradley Beal can't be a one-man offense, so having RJ Barrett there as a secondary ball handler will do them some good service.
I would trade the pick. And to me, it would be option one would be trading because I feel like the best fits for this team are what's going to come at like 4 or 6. Is basically like if they're at 6, I think they can get a guy that'd be a really good fit for them. But my options here would be trade because you'd get more capital.
Who's going to trade up?
The Bulls, the Suns, any of those two would trade up for John Morant in my mind.
Okay. So what are you getting back? Are you getting a deal similar to
if I get
Luka deal?
If I get that, that's the bare minimum. That's good enough for me.
Okay.
Because I'm getting a future pick. I'm getting and I can get the guy that I want, maybe a pick or 2 later than where I'm at. If I have to pick, I go John Morant because also the thing that came into my head might be a stupid thought, but I'll throw it out anyways. You basically get to see then a full year of let's see how Ja works with Bradley Beal. If we like that better, then we can seriously try to see if anybody wants John Wall.
How are you going to move the 30?
Or
all right.
You see how they play out. Ja's really good. Ja's a more favorable contract, but we got John Wall coming back. We'll use Ja to get more from a trade than we would have gotten for just the number 2 pick because teams have seen him play. Like that could be an option. I wouldn't say I'd do that option, but you could do that option. Then third would take RJ Barrett.
My thing would be with that is, what if you do go with that situation? I don't want to say do that because Dave will probably die.
Do that.
I think the one thing is just like, what if he plays really well? And you're just like, well, why would we get rid of John Morant when he's really fucking good?
You just
that's the
be
biggest
the Clippers and run 3 guards out there.
Yeah, I mean that's the one thing. The downside is that, well, I don't know if it's a downside because it's just like, oh, you got a really great point guard.
Yeah.
But like you're not helping needs and you're not moving John Wall.
Yeah.
So that would be the biggest thing to me, and also how would they work together? Because that works. That situation works because all 3 of those guys, Gordon, Harden, and Paul, can shoot from the outside. We don't know if John Morant's going to be a great shooter from the outside.
Yeah.
We don't know if John Wall is ever going to be a consistent 3-point shooter from the outside. So that really won't work because when John Morant and John Wall have very similar games, I don't know if that's going to pan out well.
Yeah, I mean that's an interesting problem to have, I guess. But at the same time, I go back to where Ricky was like, well, you can always just trade John Wall then. Like, who wants that contract? Like, are you really going to get anything back for him, or are you going to pay to move a contract of a former All-Star, former, I mean, he was an amazing talent. Like, he was one of the best point guards in the league for more than probably a handful of years, actually. Yeah. So I question I don't know. I don't want to say loyalty because there's not really loyalty in basketball these days, but I question the thought process of, if you're taking John Morant, your plan better be to use John Morant and John Wall. Like that's my problem, which makes it makes for rough lineups. It makes for a lot of questions, and it makes for some potentially poor shooting situations.
So let's go to RJ Barrett then, because he's the other option out there if they don't go John Morant. I think we've talked about it enough. It's a pretty good fit.
Yeah.
He gives you ball handling and possibly another ball, offense runner. When John Wall is out, because he was a pretty good facilitator in Duke. He was playing with some great players, obviously, but it's something that we saw enough of that I think him driving to the basket and him kicking out is something that could work really well with Bradley Beal. But then you also bring up the question of Troy Brown Jr., a guy you picked 16th overall last year. Where does he get phased? Because he was already getting phased out early on in the season, ended up playing decently when he got minutes at the end of the season.
Phased back in at the end, yeah.
Yeah, I wonder, I don't think Troy Brown Jr. is really going to determine whether they take RJ Barrett or not. They're going to pick the best player available, but the question does come up, if you are second overall, are you picking the best player available? And you guys obviously have Ja over RJ Barrett. Would the fit help you swallow that pill at least?
Yeah, I mean, the problem is that, the franchise has made the choice to give Supermax out to John Wall, and the timing of that couldn't have been worse. And just, if John Wall was healthy right now, is this a discussion?
No.
I don't think it really is. I think it's just RJ Barrett. So I assume that John Wall will be back and healthy. And I know it's a stupid thing to say because he has gotten hurt multiple times during one injury, and also he's been injured in the past as well. I mean, he's not the consistency of health when you think about it, but it's still, he's our guy. He's locked up for so many years at this point that I'm not going to take John Morant and deal with that situation as it evolves, because you can see locker room cancer already has been a problem with the two alphas and all of that bullshit going on there. So I'm going for the safe pick and, in my mind, the smart pick for their fit with RJ Barrett.
See, and I am actually on the other side. This is not would I take RJ at 3? This is based off of his fit with the Washington Wizards.
Yeah.
I don't think RJ fits with the Wizards because of
Really?
what you just said with the two alphas. You've got John Wall's a ball handler. Bradley Beal can be a ball handler. So what? I'm going to have 3 guys that I have to decide how much time they're getting. Like, I rather get a guy later on that would.
If you say DeAndre Hunter, I'm going to slap you.
I'm going to wait. No, I'm going to wait. But I would rather get a guy who isn't going to need the ball in his hands and can work off the ball. That's going to be the best guy for me if I am the Washington Wizards. I need somebody who is either going to be like Zion Williamson, be able to play down low in the front court.
Who needs the ball in his hands.
Or I'm going to need... I don't think Zion needs the ball in his hands.
Is that not how he succeeded throughout all of college this year?
Zion can be a guy,
having
though,
the
that
highest
you
per on
pass
his
the ball
team.
to.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he was the best player. Like, college is different than the NBA, though. Like, college, if you're the best player, you are going to have the ball in your hand.
Understood.
That is just how it goes. But,
Is
like,
it?
For me... Yes, it is. But how it's going to be
doesn't have to be.
is I like the 3s that we can get, the 2s and 3s later, to where I think RJ could potentially create more problems than he solves with the Wizards.
Fair enough.
I don't know if Zion... I might agree with Ricky for the fact that he doesn't need the ball in his hands exactly to succeed, because I think he can work off ball. He doesn't... Obviously not going to be a spot-up shooter or anything like that, but you're still going to work him in the lineup and setting picks and being around the rim. I mean, a huge thing for him is just grabbing offensive boards. He was one of the best offensive rebounders in college last year. So I think that's going to be something that definitely plays into the factor. I don't know if he's going to be huge. I mean, he had a high usage at 28.6, but also you're not going to not use him. So I don't know if he necessarily needs the ball in his hands. But the biggest thing that we'll get into now is, what if they don't get a top 3 pick? It's going to be kind of difficult to get a top 3 pick for them, since they don't have one of the 4 best odds. But they'll probably be picking possibly that 4th to that 7th range. So in that range, what player fits best for them? So outside of RJ Barrett, outside of John Morant, outside of Zion Williamson, who is the best player they can go with? Is it a DeAndre Hunter? Is it a Jarrett Culver? Is it possibly a Darius Garland? Is it Dave's boy and Bol Bol? Who are you looking for in that 4 to 6 range? And does it matter like where they end up? So if like 4 to 6, in that 4th pick, does it rule out like a certain player? Does it rule out going with Bol Bol? And would you be more comfortable picking him in a certain area? Or is it, no matter where you are, 4 through 6, if this guy is available, if X guy is available, we are going with him because he's the best player for this team? Who is that guy in your mind? Who's the best player for them to get in that 4 to 6 range?
I'm going Bol Bol. You guys know my opinion on this, and I think he's supremely offensively gifted. I think his body is unique, and he is still someone who is growing his defensive game. His body size and shape. I know, Sean, you like to pick on him because he is not the weight is not equally distributed around all of his limbs, to put that, I think, in the best possible way. But at the same time, he has a sweet stroke from the outside. He can put the ball on the ground. He is able to score from every which angle. So, like, if I'm power ranking this, if I get the 4th pick, I'm taking Bol Bol. If I get 5, I'm taking Bol Bol. If I get 6, Bol Bol. But, like, after him, for me, it goes back to, like, I wonder if the value of taking a risk on someone like Cam Reddish and the other guy would probably end up being maybe a Sekou Demboya. Like, one of those 2 guys kind of interests me. Guys who, we obviously with Cam, we haven't seen the best of him. We'd like to think he had a very disappointing run in college, but if you look back at the talent from high school and you understand the upside, the body shape, everything that he brings to a physical basketball player standpoint is there, and you just maybe have to pull it out of him a little bit with some great coaching that you don't really have. you could go with him. Or Sekou, bit of more of a mystery, but now he's starting to play the best basketball when it really matters for him. And he could be an interesting prospect going forward. So I'm going upside. I'm going pure upside on my picks here at 4 through 7.
What do you? And that's the upside part. What about the Wizards means they should go upside? Because I don't know if they could really coach that upside. That's my thing.
That's a fair criticism, and I'm not going to disagree. The fact that their coaching is not something that I don't love their coach. I don't think their coaching staff is amazing. But if there's a chance that they could grow a top talent like this, then absolutely swing for it. Because on the other side, Jarrett Culver doesn't fit on this team in my mind because you have another ball handler on that team. Him off ball, not a fan of that. He worked really well with the ball in his hands. So I'm passing on him for that reason alone. I look at DeAndre Hunter. Yes, he can play basketball. Yes, he can shoot from the outside, but he's boring AF.
Yeah, but is that bad?
I mean,
is that bad?
I don't know if I'm
boring. Like boring doesn't mean
how much
bad.
better is he than Trevor Ariza? Not. Why wouldn't I just re-sign Trevor Ariza?
Because he's
DeAndre
cheaper
Hunter's
and
cheaper.
you get him for 5 years.
Bingo.
Yeah.
And you have options too.
Like
I think, and one thing too is with that is you might have a boring option in DeAndre Hunter who you know is going to be a starter,
Right.
but
He's
that way you
reliable.
can still throw out Troy Brown and let him develop because yes, he might be more of that exciting player at that prospect.
Troy Brown
And
going to lead the bench unit. That's that man's
That's
job.
the thing is like he might be a very interesting player that you can develop, and that way you could have say you want to give out a different look. He's going to most likely be a 3, and he'll fill in for DeAndre Hunter if you don't like that. And also you could probably then move Hunter to the 4, and it gives you more looks. Like Troy Brown could be that exciting prospect that you have, the guy that you just drafted. DeAndre Hunter can give you a starter to go with the 2 stars that you already have. The one when they are healthy.
to me, there's 4 guys I'm looking at, and these are like if they end 6 to 10, these are the 4 guys I'm targeting. 2 of which are Cam Reddish and DeAndre Hunter. The thing, though, that I will say I agree with Sean is I might lean more DeAndre Hunter because of how much faith do you have in this coaching staff to get the most out of Cam Reddish, although I think Cam Reddish could become in the NBA a better pro than DeAndre Hunter. Will he? We'll see. Has the potential to be. DeAndre Hunter, to me, I think the only reason we got that comment so long ago is because there's nothing flashy about DeAndre Hunter. He's not a sexy pick. It's not something where it's like, oh my God, he's the pick that we need. He is just a reliable player.
Yep.
He can shoot from the outside. He plays defense. He could guard 3s and 4s, but he's, like you said, boring AF. But I don't think that's a bad thing. I just think it's, hey, he's a reliable player and isn't super flashy. The other 2 I'm going to go with is Brandon Clark.
I love him.
And also, although if I'm ranking centers, I would put Ball at 1. I think Jackson Hayes would be a better fit. I know that there's the development thing that I mentioned that Sean brought up with Cam Reddish, but I like Jackson Hayes' defense more. And I think from their 5, because of what I brought up earlier, they need more of a defensive stalwart down low than someone who's going to run, shoot from the outside, and add offense.
I think I like Clark more than Hayes, at least for them.
Yeah.
Because I think he's more polished coming in, and that way you don't have to worry about development.
Exactly.
The only difference is I didn't have him there because I don't know if they'd go for him at 7 when Sean said 4 through 7.
Yeah.
You said 6 through 10, though. Absolutely. If I'm, for whatever reason I'm behind, when you're locked into a range like that, it's just like I've never seen Brandon Clark mocked go 5 or 6 or 7 really.
I think I mocked him at 6 before.
You did?
Because if they don't get a top 4 pick,
he's not been
they
on my
can
board
be
at that
6
point.
through
I'll
10.
say that. So yeah, if they go to 7, 8, 9, 10, I mean I think 10 is absolutely great for Brandon Clark. I think that's where I've been mocking him because of the Timberwolves. But I could see him going earlier than at 9 or 8 if the Wizards do get knocked back. I think he'd be a very intriguing fit. It's just weird because they've got 2 power forwards technically as RFAs right now with Jabari and Bobby, but Brandon Clark is just such a polished player. And you're right, Sean. He has no development really required, but yet he's still growing his game, which is kind of nice.
Last mock, I had him at 6. Ricky had him at 7, and you had him at 7.
Wow. Maybe I'm just sleeping on him.
I don't think I'm sleeping on him. Someone asked
I am.
on Twitter, and I don't think it's really sleeping on him. I think we're high on him. Because I think big board wise, I don't think I have him that high. I don't think he's at 6 at least. I can't think.
Yeah, but the 5.0, you did have the Wizards at 6 going with them. So I mean,
that's what I said. But that's not a big board.
Yeah, I'm looking at draft.
Yeah, I know. I brought that up, but I want to bring up TJ from Twitter. He said, "At what point do you stop drafting for need and draft on best available?" I'm guessing he's talking about NBA because that's what we've been covering so much on this channel. And I think you are always going best available. Your mindset's always get to the best player available. But what I said to him in response was, at least at this point, like at least with the John Morant and RJ Barrett thing, you guys think John Morant's the best player available.
Yeah.
But I think it's close in your minds. It's close for me in my mind. And the reason why you go with RJ Barrett over John Morant is because he fits that team better. And that way you don't have to make too many jumps and moves to get rid of the players that you currently have, and you could go for it with the player that best fits you. And that way you can go with Bradley Beal, you can go with John Wall. You don't have to worry about contracts, and you can just plug and play the player. And I think that helps you build the team. And yes, you might not be getting the all-star that is John Morant, but maybe that helps RJ Barrett's development, being in a place where he has guards already that can help him out. He has perimeter shooters, and he can attack the basket a little bit more. That you got to also think that if the guy fits, that also will give him the best chance of developing.
Like, look at the Luka Trae Young trade last year. Was Luka the better player? Yes. The Hawks were like, hey, we don't want him, like we don't need him, but he's the best player, so we're gonna work a trade to get someone who we want and fits our team better.
No, they traded him because they had him so close, and they had the value of the next.
If you have
pick.
another first round pick on top of it, so it will be Trae Young plus whoever they end up with either this year or the following year, versus just Luka, which still might be very close.
Yeah, they had the prospects so close. That's what the guys, the GM said. I'm blanking on his name. Travis.
Would you say John, RJ are as close as Luka and Trae Young last year?
No, because I had Luka so much ahead of Trae Young.
No. I'm saying like the way we have John, RJ now is how close the Hawks had Young and Luka.
I mean, it differs from every single team. I mean, we're talking right now that it is close. The Wizards might think John Morant's the best prospect in this whole draft. We don't fucking know. Yeah. They have a new GM too since they got rid of Ernie. I think that at least with this, and this kind of fits the whole Brandon Clark thing, is I'm looking at DeAndre Hunter, and I think him and Brandon Clark are very similar, where it might not be the sexiest pick. They might not have that high upside like a Cam Reddish, but you also have to balance out that floor and ceiling thing. And if I'm looking at the Wizards, I kind of want a higher floor than I do a higher ceiling. Which you might be wondering, like, well, why? I mean, that's obviously kind of stupid. You want the player that's going to be an all-star rather than not, or has at least all-star potential. But I think you already have 2 stars on that team in John Wall when he's healthy and Bradley Beal when he's healthy. And Brandon Clark, while he might not have that all-star potential on himself, if he is playing with those guys, he is playing with guys who can give him the ball down low, and he's playing in a high-tempo area where he can also block shots. I think that might help him become an all-star, maybe not because of his own talent, but because of his fit in a system. And I think that is something that plays into a factor. So, yes, Brandon Clark's not the best player on the board, but fit does matter a lot when you're talking about these teams. And, if we're saying guys to, build up a franchise, Brandon Clark's not going to the top 10. But if we're talking about, fitting into a franchise and then how that player would play up, it obviously is going to differ. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing with this whole thing. So if I'm the Hawks in that 4 to 6 range, or that 4 to 7 range, I think Bol is a factor. I think Hunter's a factor, and I think Clark's a factor. Those are the guys that I'm looking at because I want to fill those fits. Yeah. Because I think if I'm putting those guys against veteran all-stars, that's going to give them the best shot. Because I think Cam Reddish, I don't know if he's good enough to take a risk on. I think it's too similar to Troy Brown. I think Culver's not good of an outside shooter and big enough to play the 3, or at least quick enough to play the 3. And yes, he works very hard, and the fact that he made that much progress as a freshman to a sophomore is something that is huge, and that's going to help obviously development. And if we don't think the coaching staff's good enough to develop these players on their own, him putting his own work in would be huge. But I think Brandon Clark's a natural fit at their 4, next to Thomas Bryant, and those 2 offensively would be extremely fun to watch. DeAndre Hunter already is a very mature 3-4 that could fit very well with those 2 players. Right. And then Cam Reddish, and then Bol, his ceiling's so high that if you give him guards that can get him the ball, I think that would be so much to his development. And also he wouldn't have to play the 5, he could play the 4.
Yeah, no, I absolutely adore the fit of a Brandon Clark on this team. I think that'd be a ton of fun. I don't know, it just... There's something about me that ever since like earlier in the season, it's just DeAndre Hunter just does not resonate well with me because I look around the league and I'm like, I mean, you can get a lot of, okay guys to play the 3, the 4, the wing for you. Like, I feel like the Wizards team, should try to build, or it has been kind of along the similar path as the Blazers, where you've got supremely talented guards, and you just basically need guys. Al-Farouq Aminu, Mo Harkless are great, defenders. They're not shot creators. They're not guys who can go out there and get it done.
So they need a big from Gonzaga.
So they can go
Zach Collins and Brandon Clark.
So they can go get their big from Gonzaga and Brandon Clark, pair it up, and get shit done. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm seeing shit that's not there, but I just think that as far as their build path, that line of logic isn't terrible.
No, I like it.
I think then, let's say, worst case scenario, they stay that 6 to 10 range.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say Bol Bol's off the board for you. Who's the best fit in this range for you? You think? Brandon Clark?
I would say DeAndre Hunter.
Okay,
that's
let's say
go with.
Hunter's off the board for you. We'll say Clark's off the board for me. So those 3 players are off the board.
Yep.
Bol, Hunter, and Clark. Who is then next up for you? Let's say.
No, he said.
Do you listen?
Those 3 are off
Ja
the board.
Morant, Zion,
Yeah.
RJ, Brandon Clark, Hunter, and Bol Bol are off the board.
Oh, so it's not
Who's
like
next up?
So all 3 of those
Yes.
are gone.
Yes.
Okay, I thought it
Yep.
was like just Ball's gone for Dave.
No.
Let's see. Who was yours again? Was yours Brandon Clark?
Brandon Clark off the board.
Mhm.
Bol
Bol and
off the
DeAndre
board.
Hunter.
DeAndre Hunter off the board. The top 3 off the board.
I would have a debate in my head of either going Cam Reddish or Jackson Hayes, because both of them at that point, it's like, well, I'm not getting out of here without getting somebody that I think is either going to be basically going to be a little bit of a project. I would maybe lean towards Jackson Hayes over Cam Reddish, because at that point I would want defense from my big down low because of our basically being totally weak at that last year. But I would basically be going down to the wire. Do I take Hayes or Reddish before choosing Jackson Hayes?
All right. What do you think?
I'll throw a pick at like Sekou. I'll take a wild card. I mean, he could be a 3 of the future. He could be a 4 of the future. All I know right now is he is long. He is agile for his size. He has a decent shot that works right now. And there's a lot of upside for a young kid. I like the size. I think that I'm taking a stab at talent.
Yeah, I think it's probably Cam or Sekou at that point, because there's not really a guy that it screams to me like he's going to be able to be plug and play and be great. Maybe Culver. I mean, Culver's technically still available on the board. I don't think he would be at this point.
I don't like him on fit. I don't like him on pure fit. Why don't you like him fit-wise? Just he needs the ball in his hand.
You think he's the best player available?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, he would be my best player available.
You think he needs the ball in his hands to create?
Yeah, I fear with John Wall healthy, Bradley Beal healthy, and him out there, like there's just too much. There's not enough ball to go around. Then you add in Troy Brown, who I know you wouldn't be in the same starting lineup, but like another guy who needs the ball in his hands to create. So I would look for somebody who is less dependent. And the problem is, like, when you look for 4s outside of Brandon Clark, you go all the way back down to a PJ Washington. That seems a bit early in my mind to go for PJ Washington. So I'm taking a stab at one of the higher end developmental projects.
I think Sekou is definitely an interesting fit there. I think Cam is as well.
Yeah. If
we put those 2 guys next to each other, what's the positives for Cam? What's the negatives for Sekou? What's the positives for Sekou? What's the negatives for Cam? I mean, why were you leaning Sekou? And I think you said you were leaning Cam, right?
Yeah, I mean, the big thing for me with Sekou is, and it's not like because, he's international, this is why, but I feel like there's more development that needs to happen with Sekou and more question marks, to where at least with Cam Reddish, I would know what is my floor going to be from him on this team. With Sekou, I feel like that is giving this coaching staff too much wet clay to mold into something. That they just can't do it. Like, I'm with you. I don't trust this coaching staff to get the most out of Sekou.
But why do you, I mean, I'm not high on Cam's like playability automatically. So why do you think Cam's going to be an easier fit?
I feel like
you're just thinking
one of the worst shooters.
You're thinking that the transition from overseas into American basketball would be too much to overcome. And at least
with
Cam doesn't
that
have to do that.
coaching staff, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, where it's Cam Reddish doesn't have to deal with that. And basically, I think it's going to be when Cam Reddish gets over, most of it is Markelle Fultz. Like, it was all in his head, and that it was the fit in Duke wasn't exactly what we and he thought it was going to be. And I think Cam Reddish is going to be a better player at the next level than what we saw at the end of the year at
Do you
Duke.
think his role would be vastly different on the Wizards than it would be at Duke with John Wall and Bradley Beal? I mean,
And that's the question, because it's the same. If it is, it's the same issue than we thought before of, oh, I need the ball in my hands more. Well, kid, you're not going to get the ball in your hands more.
you're not good enough. Yeah.
But the good thing is this next year is that John Wall won't be playing.
Yep.
So maybe that's like, oh, okay, that was part of the reason. But if I'm picking between the two, that's why I would go Cam over Sekou.
Okay.
It's a tough question for me because I don't like Cam. I like Sekou more than Cam.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in
You
terms
also think
of the
Sekou
Wizards,
is fairly much closer to NBA ready than I do as well. I think you're in that mindset, right?
Mm-hmm.
More of a plug and play rather than a
I mean,
build up.
I think he's probably on the same level as Cam. I don't think there's too much of a drastic difference. I think people are kind of too over worried about Sekou's playability already. Like, what are you gonna pick this guy top 10 and not play him like 20 minutes a game? Like, what the fuck are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Like, play him. Like, what's the worst that's gonna happen? Like, he's not that bad.
No,
like,
I agree.
He's quick enough. So like, he might make some mental mistakes, but you gotta learn. And he's so young. So
Yeah.
like, let him learn. Let him make
He's a full year
mistakes.
younger than Cam Reddish.
Yeah, I think Culver would probably be the pick for me, though. I think he's just too ready already for these guys. And yes, the ability of playing off ball is going to come in there. But he's going to be around so many guys that are good already. He's going to be playing next to John Wall. He's going to be playing next to Bradley Beal. And I think, well, obviously when John Wall's healthy, but right away he's going to be playing next to Bradley Beal. And I think he'll be able to bring defense already to that team. And I don't think he's a drastically... Like, I think when he's open, he can make a three.
Yeah.
It's just creating him for himself to make a three, or trying to go around a pick and make a three. I don't think he's a great spot up shooter, or he's a great off dribble shooter. I worry about that part of him, and I think if he doesn't have the ball in his hands, which he probably won't with Bradley Beal on the team, and being such a dominant force and being such a great scorer, and he was a pretty good
Facilitator as well.
Facilitator.
Yep.
Satoransky too. I think there'll be enough on there for Culver to succeed. I think Reddish is too much of a chance, and I don't know.
It's a big gamble.
I don't know if I love Sekou's fit there.
Yeah, I think Hunter's defense, or not Hunter, Culver's defense, like, almost warrants picking him, even with the concerns about the offensive fit, because maybe you just have enough sets in your offense where the ball is going to run through Culver for these sets, and that's fine. That he'll have those wrinkles in the offense to where he'll get to touch the ball enough where he should be able to succeed in that Wizards offense. But yeah, I think a lot for that kind of, in my mind, goes back to like, where's he measuring at? Give us a couple weeks to the combine, and if he measures in at a legit like 6'7", 205, if he can put on a little weight, little size, that would be nice. I think that would make me a little happier to understand that, yeah, he can be a three and he can guard legit threes in the NBA with his size.
Yeah,
because he's got just great defensive talent.
We think he's like 6'11".
Yeah, I mean, pretty much from everything you've heard, if you watch,
We'll figure it out at the combine. He's
bro.
probably going to come in at. He's not 6'5" as they have him listed, 6'4". Probably coming in at like 6'7", 6'8", with a super long wingspan. So it's gonna be interesting to see. I think he's gonna be able to guard threes in the NBA. So I think those are the best fits. Zion obviously at 1. They might think about taking Ja at 2 if they get that pick, but we think RJ fits better there.
Yeah.
We all like DeAndre Hunter, Bol and Clark for them in some different ways. Obviously, at different variables. And then if they're get worst case scenario, they're not able to move up for themselves, or they even fall. Unfortunately, we're looking at a project in Cam Reddish, Sekou, or they go with best player available, at least out of the weird board that we created in Jarrett Culver. But Jarrett Culver is most likely not going to be available at 6.
Yeah.
Maybe if teams don't like him, but he might fall.
This is weird for me to say now. Is Jarrett Culver's game that much different than RJ Barrett's? To the fact that like RJ's got the higher upside, we can all agree. But
RJ's a better athlete.
Yeah, but it's like Jarrett Culver plays defense.
Yeah, but I think RJ has the ability to
like we were all good with taking RJ at 2, but now I'm questioning taking Jarrett at 6 or 7, wherever, with that weird board that we created. And it just kind of came back to me. I was like, I mean, the gap between them, I get it. Like
RJ's much better offensively.
Yeah.
And I think RJ still has potential defensively.
Okay.
I mean, he's still athletic and has. I mean, it's just really the question of Wiggins. Does he want to put the work in? He's so much like Andrew Wiggins.
Yeah.
I mean, not exactly play style wise, but there's so many similarities from them. Their size, their gameplay of them driving. I don't know if they're most consistent shooters, and that was a big problem with Wiggins. They're both from Canada, for fuck's sake. And Wiggins was the number one prospect going into his college season. So was RJ Barrett.
Yeah.
So that's a bit. I think that they're so similar. It's just like, can RJ take a different path than his fellow Canadian? Anyways, final thoughts. Got any? We wrapped it up pretty well.
My biggest one is them fall. If they fell to 10, wouldn't be the end of the world because they can probably get Brandon Clark.
Yeah, I think they're a safe bet throughout this. Like, they're going to get somebody who can help them year one, I feel.
Even if at worst case scenario they get Jackson Hayes, I don't think it'd be the end of the world.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's going to do it for the Wizards Talk. Let us know what you think down in the comments below, because you look at Thomas Bryant, he's great offensively. Jackson Hayes is going to be great defensively. So you at least have those two guys that can work next to each other. But let us know your thoughts of the best fits for the Wizards for each spot. Number 1, number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Again, don't forget that we're going to be doing our live lotto on 5/14, the day of the lottery, starting at 7 p.m. Then on 5/15, the MVP podcast with Rick and Dave come out on our YouTube channel. And also, we want to thank Jake for joining us. And if you want to be like Jake, check out patreon.com/mostvaluablepodcast. That's going to do it for Dave Oster, for Ricky Widmer. I'm Sean Anderson. We will see you next week.